Try and even up that series with them on Saturday. Our broadcast time will be 2:30, by the way, with our countdown to kickoff, and Jim Costa is back in the fold, so he's making the trip, and we hope to hear from you on Saturday and hope you have an opportunity to listen to the broadcast. Also coming up, Butch Barry is here. He coaches tight ends for Central Michigan, and he's a grad of CMU. He married a grad from CMU. He's a former grad assistant, so he's got a lot of ties to the university. We'll chat with Butch a little bit, and one of his players, Connor Odekirk, young man from right here in Mount Pleasant. He's already a senior, hard to believe, the tight end. He's a communications major, so I'm sure he's going to be very talkative tonight, so we'll have an opportunity to chat with him. Then we'll turn our attention towards volleyball. Eric Olson, who's now in his 10th season with CMU. We'll chat a little bit about the volleyball team and what's going on, and then we'll visit with a couple players as well, as Danielle Gotham is here and Kelly Maxwell as well. So all that coming up right here, so keep it right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Okay, I'm still dialing.
The Chippewas, Dan Enos. Good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Sounds like you've had an eventful week. Let's talk a little bit about the Toledo game. And, you know, we've been talking about getting the running game going all season long, and that was I thought, your best performance on the ground. You got contributions from a couple guys, and your offensive line did a good job of clearing some holes.
Yeah, I thought our offensive line, tight ends, fullbacks were outstanding. Thought we really handled their front seven very well. And I think our tailbacks ended up with 35 carries for 189 yards on the day. And really against the defense, as we watched Toledo play Florida and Missouri, both those teams really struggled to run the football against them. And so I thought Ramadan Ahmedi, his second start at left tackle, and Connor Collins, his first start at right guard, and those other guys and our tight ends and fullbacks did a tremendous job. I thought our backs ran hard. And to be perfectly honest with you, with a run output like that, it was disappointing we didn't find a way to win, because our formula over the last couple of years has been if we run for over 150, we usually win. And we just didn't make enough plays in the pass game. I think Cooper Rush had a couple of very untimely turnovers and some freshman mistakes that he's got to clean up. And I thought our wide receivers did a good job too. I thought they got open. We had a couple drop balls, but thought they made plays. But at the end of the day, we turned the ball over 4 times, and they turned it over once. And it's tough to beat a good team when you're -3.
We talk about turnovers all the time, and it's always the big factor that you mention about each ball game, and I think every coach does that. And even though you had a great performance in the run game, it's just tough to overcome that. And when you talk to your team after a game like that, what's your approach? Do you highlight the things you do well? Do you talk about the turnovers? What's your approach?
Both. We do both. We get very critical with ourselves as coaches first, and then we dive into the players and what we could have done better, and we point out some key mistakes in the game that we've got to clear up. And but then we also do, as you mentioned, Don, we point out the very positive things that we did. And I thought our punter and Ron Caluzzi did a very good job. I thought Connor Gagne kicked off very well. They had one big return, in the game, but there's two plays on that play that are illegal, and they don't call them, and we send them into the league, and the league says, you're right, we missed those. And, that
sure
that and $2 gets you a cup of coffee, you know what I mean? It doesn't help you. But
right.
So there were some things there, but there was a lot of positives, as I mentioned. And Lewis Palmer continues to play very well. Jeremy Gaynor continues to play well. The one thing that I think happened is, they brought their senior quarterback in, because I felt that they looked at the game and they said, you know what? We're going to need this guy to win.
Sure.
And he came in, and I told him after the game, I said, you're a tough guy to come in, because he was hobbling a little bit. And then their senior back did very well, and they got a very good offensive line. And they didn't make a mistake. And our freshman quarterback made some mistakes, and ultimately that was the difference in the football game.
Is that the difference between somebody like a Terrence Owens, who's been there for several years, played in a ton of games, and somebody who's playing in their second or third game?
Absolutely. I mean, the fumble that gets picked up in return for a touchdown, we're in a 5-man protection. They bring 6. Cooper knows he's hot, and he reads the wrong side based on leverage. It's just, he was trying to force the ball to Titus Davis instead of, if he would have read the other side, we had an open receiver in the flat. He could have dropped it out there to him. We'd have had a first down, and it would have been now go from being 1st and 10 to them scoring a touchdown. I mean, that's how quickly it can all work. And every lesson that Cooper learns is the first time, and he's got to learn from them, though. We can't do them again. That's the big thing, is we just can't do them again. And so there were some real good things he did too. He made some very, very good throws, and he made plays at times. We moved the ball up and down the field, and but again, yards and first downs don't get you points, and they don't get you wins. You got to finish, and we got to learn how to do that.
What's this like for you with Cooper and a young quarterback? Because you had the luxury the past couple seasons of dealing with Ryan Radcliffe, who had a ton of experience for you. Now you're kind of back with somebody who's brand new and is learning these things for the first time at game speed, which is awful difficult to do. How do you bring him along?
You just got to continue to put him in as many situations as you can. We got to try to do a better job of doing things he does well. For example, if he can't handle being in a bunch of 5-man protections right now, let's not do that to him. And those are things that we talked about as a staff. Maybe he's not ready for that. Let's ease him into some of those things. So he's got to get better. We got to get better working with him. The thing it's very frustrating is you go into the season and you got Jake Olson at left tackle, and you have Zerlon Tipton, I consider the best running back in this league, at tailback, and Titus Davis. And you think, okay, if we are playing a new quarterback or a young quarterback, we got all these other ways to not put it on him,
right.
But when you get in a game like that, you can't just run the ball every single down, and you play these good teams. Quarterback's got to make plays, and we got to use Titus and Flory and Courtney Williams and those guys, and we got to find a way to give them the ball. And you know what? Nobody feels sorry for you at all from who you're playing. You got to coach who you got out there, and I think our guys are doing a great job. But we just got to continue doing different things to help put him in the best position we can to help win. The good thing about it is that he's very talented. And Alex Nisnak as well. These two guys, they practice very hard. They practice every day. They compete. Every day they're never satisfied with how they were the day before. So those are all very positive things. And Coach Watts does a great job with them. But we just got to continue to find ways to make it easy for them.
Well, one of the guys who helps make it easy for him is Titus Davis, second in the nation right now, 19.4 yards per catch. He was there last year, too, if I remember correctly, right near the top of the nation. What makes him so tough to cover? Because I know people are keen on him every game.
Oh, yeah. Even last year they knew about him.
Right.
And even last year that was so nice. You have him and you have Cody and you have Flory and you have Courtney and you have Zerlon, and so now you're looking at it and you're going, okay, now.
Pick your poison.
Pick your poison. Who are we going to load up on? You know what I mean? And that was the thing that was so good about Saturdays. We were able to run the ball so well that we really liked our matchups with their secondary. And, so we said, hey, we can run the ball. Then we're going to be able to exploit some of these things. And we did a little bit. And there was times that we had opportunities and we didn't. But Titus is explosive. He's very difficult to cover because, you know what? He's good at getting off bump. People have tried to press him this year. Mm-hmm. People have played off of him this year, and he's gotten open either way. And that's the thing as an offense, if somebody blitzes you and you handle it, you don't see much anymore. If you don't handle it, you're going to see it all the time. Same thing with a wideout. If you can't handle press coverage, you're going to get it every day, all day. And Titus has done a very good job this year of handling press coverage in every one of our games and getting separate. He gets separation. And he's very fast, obviously, and he's got great ball skills. That being said, with the way Toledo was able to blitz you a little bit and get after your quarterback, is that one of the things you expect to see from here on out until you solve that? Yeah, to be honest with you, we had 3 sacks in the game. 2 of the sacks came on 5-man protections, which is on the quarterback because they brought 6 and he should have thrown the ball away. Is he coached in that situation? Just get rid of it? Yeah, we have hot receivers and he didn't throw it to either one. So really those 2 sacks. 2 were on him, and then 1 we were in a gap protection, which was a 7-man gap protection, and 1 the lineman just didn't block a guy in his gap, and we took a sack. So really, to be honest with you, our offensive line did a tremendous job of giving him protection. Our backs did a great job in blitz pickup. I thought our guys were very sound and very solid in their execution of it. We just again had a young guy make some mistakes and try to, I think what the young guys try to do sometimes, they try to make a big play and allowing the big play happen for you. You got to allow the offense to work for you, allow the big plays to happen. Sometimes throwing the ball away, I hear John Gruden say that all the time on TV. Sometimes that's the best play in the world, and that's a play that no one ever sees but the coaches. But it's second down, it's first down. Throw the ball into the bleachers, and let's try to make something happen on second down, or let's go for it on fourth down, give yourself a chance, or kick a field goal or punt. One thing we tell our guys is we want to end every drive with a kick. That's a goal of a good offense. You end every drive with a kick. It's either a PAT, a field goal, or a punt. But that means you haven't turned the ball over to the other team. So we just got to get our young guy to do that and understand that when there's times there, you got to throw it away. Talked about the offense a little bit out of the Toledo game. What about the defense? Early on, you were able to hold down the Toledo starter. They went to the backup quarterback, which really is their starter. Did a great job early on, and then Fluellen got going a little bit, and they also were put in some bad spots, too, with the turnovers and other things that happened. Yeah, you look at it in the first half, the score's 21-14. They scored a touchdown on defense, and then they had an interception return to the 15. So really our defense gave up 1 drive the whole first half. So if you look at it in that context, I'd say they played very well. In the second half, you're right. I think they got going a little bit. There was a couple times we should have got off the field on third down, and we didn't. And against a good team like that, they got the big kick return, too, with the short field. And then they got another turnover. But there was times where I thought our defense played well, and there's times I thought they did a good job. I thought Fluellen ran hard. Their quarterback did a good job in the read game, and, he made some good plays, too. I mean, like the touchdown pass he has, the guy – Jay Will's in great position. The guy makes a great play, makes a great catch, and sometimes that happens. Yeah, ended up as a top 10 in Sports Center, so it was a great effort, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, absolutely, just what you want to hear, right? But anyway, when we look at Toledo and that team, and you talk about getting a tough team right out of the gate, that's one of the teams that was picked to win the West by a bunch of different people. Kind of gives you a little bit of a standard on where your team is at, though, doesn't it, when you play a team like that? Yeah, I think so. And as I mentioned, watching their defense in particular play against Florida, and play against Missouri, and 15. Their DN had about 3 or 4 sacks in those games, and there was times where you just go, I don't know how we're going to match up, because they had trouble doing different things too. But I thought we played very well, and I thought our guys competed.
So we'll keep an eye on him and how he does, and they kind of break up the rushing and distribute it pretty evenly in Raleigh. Their leading rusher on the season only has 143 rushing yards, 3 touchdown runs so far for Matt Days, who is a freshman, only 5'9", 190 pounds.
Some of the guys got up and expressed that thought we needed to tackle better and do some different things, and so the guys wanted to hype practice up a little more this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. So we went off the script a little bit for in season, but we did some tackling, we did some one-on-one drills, we did some hoot and holler drills. We got very physical, very aggressive. It was great, and we did some competitive things, offense versus defense, to try to just raise the sense of urgency in practice, to try to get it more like a game. And it was the players' idea. They wanted to do it. So again, as a coach, that makes me very excited, because they're not happy. They're not satisfied. They want to play better, and they want to continue to do the things and have a blue-collar mentality and try to get better every week. So it was really nice to hear them come with those suggestions. And, when you lose, nobody's happy, but then you also don't want people pointing the fingers and saying, well, they did this or they did that, or, coach did this or the players did that. So it was nice to see that it was a collective group of everybody just saying, hey, you know what, we got to get better. Not you got to get better, he does, we do. And these are some ways that we thought we could get better, and it was great. It was fun. It was fun. We could practice.
Does your experience last year, when you guys struggled a little bit at the beginning and maybe mid-season, then really came on at the end, help when you lose a couple games in a row early on in the season?
I think so. I think, they can look back and say, hey, yeah, this similar happened to us last year, and, you just got to persevere and find a way. I think the big thing is find a way to win the next game. Find a way to win a game, and then you can build off that, continue that moving forward. But the big thing is that everybody has to understand that you don't lose a game or win a game because of one person or one segment. It's a team. It's collective. And when we lose, we all got to take responsibility, but then we all got to try to get better.
Let's talk about NC State a little bit. We saw them a couple years ago, a game that the Chippewas controlled in the first half, and then turnover bug bit you in the second half, and things got away from you a little bit. But I think it proved to those guys that are still on the squad from a couple years ago, you can go into that environment, which you talked about is a great place to play, and compete with those guys and get out of there with a win.
I thought they were a very good team a couple years ago. Mike Lennon was their quarterback, and Arneson in the secondary, and they had big D tackle that played against us that just gotten back. And what a great environment, too. And I thought our guys, again, like you said, I think it was 21-17 at halftime.
Right.
And we were moving the ball very well. And in the second half, we had some turnovers, but we came back, and I think we had the ball on their 10-yard line. Had a chance to make it a one-score game with 6 or 7 minutes to go in the game. We ended up throwing a pick, I think, in the fourth quarter of that game. But there was also some really good things we did. And, again, as I look at it, every game, this is a totally different team we're playing, totally different circumstances and situation. But they're a good football team. But, again, right now we're so focused, and we got to get ourselves better. So we got to do whatever we got to do to get ourselves better.
you're going to look across the sidelines on Saturday, and there's going to be a familiar face over there from a former Mid-American Conference team in Northern Illinois, and Mr. Doran. And I know he's got some new assistant coaches, and they're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Do they look anything like NIU at all that you've seen in years past?
There's some similarities as far as, they want to run the football.
Mm-hmm. But they don't have Jordan Lynch.
They don't have, or Chandler Harnish.
Right.
Both those guys are dynamic, but they want to run the football. They're going to do motions, and they're going to shift and get in wings, and they're going to run the quarterback, and they're going to have pass plays attached to their run plays, and he's going to make a decision to throw it or run it. Then they're going to play action and try to throw the ball down the field on you. So there's some similarities there. Matt Canada, who's the coordinator, was with him in 2011 just for a year when we played him. So they're similar. And then defensively, they're still a 4-3 defense. There's a different coordinator, but the scheme is similar. Obviously, some of the pressures are different, and the personality of the people calling it are a little different.
They're similar to you in that they lost their starting quarterback right out of the chute. They've got a young man in there who I believe hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet this year. What are you seeing from them offensively on what they're trying to do? You mentioned the run game, but I know they want to get the pass game going as well.
Yeah, they do. They do some unique things as far as they'll have a running play tagged with a pass concept. And if he likes it, he throws it. If he doesn't, he hands it off or he runs it himself. That's how they get a lot of their passes. So it's kind of like pick your poison. What do you want to take away? And then they have the ability to drop back, and they love throwing shallow crosses, and they love throwing the spot 7 concept. And they're going to try to play action and throw the ball over your head too. So, he's playing 2 quarterbacks, and they're somewhat new, playing 3 games only. They're still trying to find their identity too, just like a lot of people are at this time.
It seems like to me with a lot of what they do, and I've seen some of their tape, and I watched some of the Clemson game, and they throw a lot of short stuff and hit you near the line of scrimmage. It seems like tackling, which was a focus this week, has been a focus for you for a few weeks now, is going to be especially important to make sure those 3 to 5 yard pickups don't turn into 10, 15, 20 yards.
I agree, Don, 100% with you. I think, good defensive teams tackle well. That's the big thing. Like, over the years when you leave a game and you go, boy, they were good on defense, the one thing you remember is, boy, we didn't break a lot of tackles, or we didn't have a lot of yards after catch or a lot of yards after contact, those types of things. And that's been a focus of ours. But, yeah, that's something that they're relying on. And a lot of teams that spread the field out like that and rely on that, and we're going to have to do a good job of honing in on that.
When you look at their season coming in, Louisiana Tech, they win that one easily 40-14. Then they have a Richmond game, and kind of similar to what you saw in New Hampshire, an FCS school that's in the top 10 that's very, very good in Richmond that takes them right to the wire, and they need a field goal at the end to win that game. Then they come back and play Clemson, and they were a little bit snake-bit in that game. They had a long touchdown run that was called back. They said the kid was out of bounds, but he really wasn't. So you talk about sending tape to the league office.
Yeah.
That might be a situation
you're
there.
right. No, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've proven themselves to be a good team. Clemson, number 3 in the land. And they've also proven themselves to be a little bit vulnerable, too, against Richmond, which is an awful good FCS team. Is it too early to try and get a handle on how good they are?
I think they're very good.
Yeah.
I think the Clemson game is a good indication on what they really are. I think they played hard, played with effort, toughness. We're physical on defense, and big. And, it's college football.
Mm-hmm. There are no easy games.
There's none. And every head coach, when I go out before the game, I talk to him. That's all we talk about. It's like, man, there's, every week is a battle. It's a grind, and it is. And I think they ran into a very good Richmond team that was playing very passionately and very well coached. And, those type of games, they go into the second half and they're close, and then you know what? Anything can happen.
Let's talk about where this game kind of falls on your schedule. You've had your MAC opener already. Then you're going to be on the road after this at Miami, at Ohio. Those are going to be tough games on the road in the Mid-American Conference. What about this 3-game stretch? I know you're taking them one game at a time, but you must look at this as kind of a critical juncture in your schedule.
Yeah, I think we might be the only team in the country that's got to go on the road 3 weeks in a row. But it is, you got this one, and then you got 2 bus trips, which are conference games, which are going to be critical, for us at that time of year. But I think you said it, Don, you got to take them one at a time. That's the only way you can look at these things. So we're going to play this one. I think one thing that we've done is just going to talk to our team about, how you win on the road. That's one thing we've been focused on is, how do we do it? It's first off, it's a business trip. You have to show maturity. You got to handle the trip. You got to be on time. You got to be professional, be respectful to people, and no goofing around and all that kind of stuff. then you got to match you got to exceed the other team's intensity when the game starts. You've got to feed off the crowd just like they're feeding off the crowd. You got to say, this is a great place to play. This is a great environment. There's no place I'd rather be. And coming out of the box, you got to exceed their intensity. The other thing you do is you got to stay focused one play at a time. You got to ignore the noise, literally the noise, and literally the things that are going on, and focus in on what you have to do to get your play executed. Whether you're playing safety and you're keying the tight end, or you're playing quarterback and you're looking at your movement key, or you're a tailback and you're reading the tight end's block. You got to make yourself focus one play at a time to do that. And then I think the big thing on the road too is just being very poised. Poise to me is your ability to perform regardless of what's going on. Your ability to stay focused and under control your emotions, and be poised. And I think as we look at it, those are the things we're trying to do this week. First and foremost, we want to do those things, and then that's going to help us carry us on down for the next couple of weeks and the other remaining road games that we have.
You're going to love this question, by the way. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the health of your team. It hasn't been your favorite subject because you've lost a number of guys. Where are you at with that, and how are the guys that are being asked to step into those roles doing?
Well, we've had an unusual amount of season-ending injuries already, which I think is very frustrating. But Jabari Dean is going to be out for the year. He's going to have surgery on his groin. Jesse Kroll is going to be out for the year, which that one really hurt. Both of those guys, that really hurts. I think that's our third defensive tackle out now. Because Ben Randall's out for the year. Lozenecki's out again this week, and Jabari Dean's out. And when you take 300-pound defensive tackles out, it's not like we have 15 of them just sitting around that we can keep plugging in there. You know what I mean? It gets difficult, so we got to move some guys around. And losing Jesse really hurts because this is Jesse's really first playing time. He was getting a wide receiver, and I think we saw some of the catches he made, his big play ability. He's going to be a tremendous player for us. So, it's been such a work in progress to work this roster the way we have it, to build this depth and to get bigger up front and all those types of things. So it's disappointing some, but Kelby Latta came in last week. I thought he played very well. Schaefer Johnson's been playing well inside. Lewis Palmer's a guy we moved inside. He can play inside or outside. It's a good thing that we've got so much depth at defensive end right now because we're able to move Lewis Palmer back inside if we need to. So there's some positives that way. And then, offensive line-wise, Cody Pettit was banged up with an ankle, and Jake Olson's out for the year. So we've been playing Ramadan Ahmedi, and Connor Collins got his first start. And as I mentioned, playing against a defense that, going to the game, I think they were leading the MAC in defense going into the last week, Toledo. I thought those guys performed very well. They were very physical. They were tough. So next guy up's got to step up and step in. So that's the mentality we have. We just got to continue to coach the guys we have and just get them better.
Okay, finally for you tonight, keys to getting a win on the road in Raleigh, North Carolina against the Wolfpack.
Turnovers, Don. Come on. We've got to win the turnover battle. We've got to win special teams, and we got to remain balanced on offense. I think North Carolina State's not going to be a team we're just going to go in and manhandle. Be able to run for 270 yards probably. So we're going to try to get to 150, and then we're going to have to throw the ball. So our young quarterback's going to have to go into a great environment, and he's going to have to make some big plays. And we're going to have to play well on third down to stay on the field. And so I think those are going to be big challenges. And then defense, you said it, tackle, and stop the run.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck on Saturday. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Don.
All right, that's the head coach of the Chippewas, Dan Enos, talking about what the Chippewas have to do to get a win on Saturday against North Carolina State. This segment brought to you by PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC, PNC Bank for the Achiever in You, and by the Michigan Dairy Farmers, proud to provide post-workout chocolate milk for CMU student-athletes. Nutrient-rich chocolate milk helps athletes refuel and rehydrate after intense exercise. Fabiano Brothers, proud distributors of Bud and Bud Light. We'll be right back on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Against Purdue.
Coach here for Coach Enos, and you brought a young man with you. Why don't you introduce who you brought with you?
Well, we got Mount Pleasant local legend, and he's fifth-year senior for us, so I've worked with him for 4 years now, Connor Oderkirk here, and it's been a pleasure to work with him 4 years, seen the kid grow a lot and mature, and keeps getting better every week as a player, and that's what our goal is.
I remember calling some of his touchdowns on the radio when he was just a skinny wide receiver over at Mount Pleasant High, torching all those defensive backs in the Saginaw Valley Conference. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats on the touchdown this past weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Tell me about playing in your hometown. That's got to be special for you.
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, my grandfather coached here and played here. My dad played here as well. So it's kind of nice to carry in that kind of a tradition and be able to play in your hometown and have all my family and friends be able to come and support me.
What about Connor? What does he bring to the table for you? You've got a lot of different tight ends now. You guys have built up some depth. What makes him special, and why is he getting the time that he's getting?
Well, I think, like I said, he's been with us for 4 years, and he knows the position, and has great passion for CMU, has good leadership within the room, and he's a tough kid. Comes out, and every day in practice, he puts his best foot forward, and oftentimes, and this has gone on for multiple years, he'd come up to me after practice and say, "Hey, Coach, what do I need to work on? What do I need to do?" You know what I mean? Hey, I made a mistake on this, and I know here's what I got to do to get better, and what input can you give me to make it better so I don't make that same mistake? And it's helped him grow and become a better player each week. I think, and he's becoming an all-around tight end, be able to block on the C gap, and that's something that's very important in our offense, to be able to control the C gap, and he's something that he works very hard on every day, and he can run really well and stretch the field, down the field. Like you saw in the game, caught 2 corner routes, one for a touchdown, and he's a threat vertically, and that's important.
When you look at what you're asking your guys to do as tight ends, I would imagine if they can't block, they don't play, right?
That's a big part of it. Yeah, that's you have to be able to stay in front of people and move people and do things. And I joke with them because I'm an offensive lineman background.
Right.
That's your reward. You have to be able to block, and then that's your reward. That's the fun stuff. Get to go out there and catch the ball. And a lot of times I'm joking with them about it, but there's a lot of truth in it too.
How much does it help you with your background as an offensive lineman when it comes to coaching these guys on how to block and technique and all those good things?
I think it helps me a lot because that's, there's so many finer details within blocking that having that background I can, and having Coach Cummings there for the resources to go to him who I played for, and so there's a lot of good things there. But yeah, having a lot of the problems they have within a block, I've experienced and had to coach guys because that's what I've done for so long, that I can go back to those resources and in how we change things or how we do something different or do a new drill to fix a problem we're having. It's fairly easy to go back into my notes and here's what we're going to do to fix the problem.
Tough coaching guys that have a perfect GPA or great students like Connor, I would think it makes it a little bit easier.
It makes it a lot easier because of the versatility of the position.
Right.
You got to have guys who know what they're doing, have good football intelligence, and can hear something and learn it. Because as a tight end, like we talked about, the blocking and the route running, and you have to do all these adjustments in the routes. We don't have time always in our individual to rep everything multiple times. They get it once and they got to know it. So that helps.
Connor, you look pretty natural with the headset on. You're a communications major.
Yes, sir.
What's life for you going to be like after you leave CMU? What do you want to do?
Well, currently I've actually graduated, so my undergrad's in communications and marketing. I'm starting a master's program in sports administration, so I guess I have a couple different routes I could go, maybe sales or something in the sports background. So,
tell me about the guys that you share the position with. And there's quite a group now. I remember when Coach first got here and you looked at the tight end position, you guys were converting people over because you didn't have enough tight ends for the offense that you wanted to run. Talk about some of your cohorts at tight end and what they bring to the table and how you guys are different a little bit.
Well, we have a great group of guys. We have myself, we have Mike Kinville. Mike Kinville's an excellent blocker for us. We have Deon Butler, who came over from receiver, and he's a great receiving threat for us as well. Ben McCord's a guy who can do it all. He's a great blocker, great receiver. And we also have A.J. Westendorf, who brings a lot of knowledge and leadership to the tight end group.
How tough it is for somebody like A.J., who's gone from tight end back to another position, back to tight end, and somebody like Deon Butler, who's making that transition?
Well, it's, the good thing is they're all pretty mature kids, and they have a great understanding of the offense. So, it's a lot of the things that we do with pass game concept from a tight end to receiver is very comparable, other than you get your hand in the ground and you got to get in a good stance. So a lot of the time with Deion has been spent in terms of blocking and, just adjusting to the all line calls and all those different things within having your hand down as a tight end. With AJ, he was there before, and so, but there's understanding of the whole offense again, and as a quarterback, you better know where all your receivers are, obviously. So he, picks up the pass game fairly quickly, but once again, spend a lot of time in the run game and just blocking fundamentals and being able to understand the line calls and what different calls mean and what we have to do versus different fronts. And so for those two guys, I've had to spend a lot of time with that.
Connor, when you look at your season so far, you've had this shuffle at quarterback. Is it difficult for you guys to adjust to that, or are all those guys very similar and it doesn't really affect what you're doing all that much?
Well, all those guys are very similar, and for a tight end position, for me personally, it doesn't matter who's in for quarterback. I know the quarterback who's in will obviously get the job done. So for me and the tight ends is kind of go out and do your own thing and be successful in the field, and the quarterback will do his job and help us out there.
Okay, let's talk about NC State a little bit and their defense. You guys have been game planning against it all week. What do they bring to you, and what does that mean to the tight ends at your position and what you can do against them?
Well, I think, they have some very good athletic defensive ends. That's who we're going to face a lot of them and their linebackers. Mm-hmm. So they're very athletic, and I think that, we've been practicing a lot on different movements and things like that for our blocking, just so that we get adjustments and being balanced, and so that they don't give us off balance and we get off a block, because they are athletic. And I think we can have some matchups, though, with their safeties that we can take advantage of, though, also in the pass game. So we've been, working on things like that, working on the defensive ends and the athletic movement there, and then getting ourselves down the field and working on getting some advantages with the safeties.
Connor, you probably like it a little bit when you got a 5'9", 5'10" safety who's trying to guard you, don't you?
Oh, yeah. That's a matchup I definitely like. So,
all right, let's talk a little bit about your season before we let you go here. You're headed into this game, and then you've got a couple MAC road trips, long ones, to Miami and Ohio against good football teams. How's the team feeling, and where are you at with where you're at right now?
Well, the team, right now we have great morale. The team's ready to go. I feel personally that this week, overall as a team, we've had one of our best weeks of practice, so we're pretty excited and ready to go for NC State. And having three away games in a row it's a little difficult, but I think our team will be able to handle it very, very successfully. So,
does Coach Barry scream as much as Coach Cummings? Does anybody scream as much as Coach Cummings?
I guess they're pretty close. I don't know.
Okay. I got a little sensitive when they asked you about who's your favorite coaches, and you wouldn't say me, but that's okay.
Yeah, that happened before the radio show, and people were taking a couple shots there, weren't they, Coach?
Yeah, they were, but that's all right.
Guys, thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, Don.
All right, that's Butch Berry, the tight ends coach, and Connor Rodekirk, the tight end, the senior from Mount Pleasant, and they'll be taking on NC State on Saturday. Hey, before we go to the break, remind you that these segments, the last couple ones, have been sponsored by the YP app, YP.com site, and YP Real Yellow Pages directory. You can find everything you're looking for locally. It's everything you want, all in one place. And visit themorningsun.com for the latest sports and news updates. The Morning Sun in print every day, online all the time. Come back, we'll talk a little CMU volleyball next, right here on the CMU Sideliners program, presented by Fabiano Brothers, right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Rediscover recreation at Maury Courts in Mount Pleasant. With 8 full-size basketball and volleyball courts, 3 racquetball and 2 tennis courts, it's real easy. And the Adult Fitness Center offers state-of-the-art equipment, free evaluations, personal trainers for hire, and group exercise classes like Zumba, Turbo.
Can anybody back there hear me right now?
For more information, go to maurycourts.com. That's
Yes, can you hear us?
Tony.
Back on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Fabiano Brothers, proud distributors of Bud and Bud Light. This week's Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week is Caitlin McIntyre of the women's volleyball program. A native of Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, she has earned a 3.88 grade point average. And, boy, she's performed very well of late. Earned all tournament honors for the third straight week by helping the Chippewas to a runner-up finish at the Bash in the Borough, hosted by Georgia Southern last weekend. The juniors slammed home a team-high 34 kills, helping the Chippewas earn straight-set victories over Jackson State and Charleston Southern. Caitlin McIntyre, this week's Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week. Members First Credit Union making a positive difference now with 2 locations in Mount Pleasant. Getting a little love from her teammates here in the audience as we welcome in Eric Olson, the head coach of the women's volleyball team. And hard to believe that you're in year 10. You've got a decade here. It just seems like yesterday that you came to Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, it feels like about 5 years, I think. So the first couple of years we kind of had to work some kinks out, and then we got it going.
Had a little ways to go before you match the Borellis and Junkers of the world, but you're getting there.
Yeah, and we have a lot more winning to do to match those guys. So
let's talk about your team a little bit. It seems like you're really coming on of late. Do you feel that as a club that you're playing better and better?
Yeah, I was talking to my staff a little bit this week, and we think this is probably the best 4 days of training that we've had in the last 10 years, consecutive days. So we certainly played a lot better last weekend. And we feel like the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, each week we took a huge step up, and our team defense is really starting to come together.
You've been on the road for forever. Was that intentional, or is it just the way it worked out for you?
Intentional. We had a difficult time putting together a home tournament this year, and we've got one scheduled for next year, so we'll finally get that back on the books, and it'll break up these 4 weeks. But I think that learning how to win on the road is a very important part of being competitive as a team. And in the MAC, you gotta be able to win on the road if you want a chance at that title.
Coaches talk about bonding on the road, that your team's together the whole time. They're not spread out. You certainly have had enough time on the road. Have you seen that happen?
Certainly. We haven't exactly had the smoothest travel on some of the weekends either. So, but that thought was in my head earlier this week on how I feel our team is very tight, and more so than most years, where just the travel really helped us become one heartbeat.
Let's talk about this team and strengths and weaknesses that you've seen so far, and areas where you think you have to get better if you're really going to make a run at a MAC title.
We've kind of improved in some of those things in the last 3 weeks. Blocking is unusually low 3 weeks ago, and now, like last weekend, we doubled our average of what our season average was. So we're usually in the middle of the pack in team blocking, and we were 12th. So we hope to make a big change in that this weekend. But those numbers were really good from just a weekend standpoint last weekend. So, and then taking our block and combining that with our floor defense is extremely important. And that's really coming together too. And we started specializing in positions rather than filtering some people sometimes here, sometimes there. And that seems to have really added to our efficiency. And then we've been serving a lot tougher too. We doubled our aces per set over the last weekend. So those are the areas, our offense has been really kicking butt. And we're 22nd in the nation in assists per set, and we're 18th in the nation in assists per set. And I think we're 22nd or 23rd in kills per set. So we're looking pretty good. Kelly Maxwell's ranked the 15th best setter in the nation right now. So, and number 1 in the MAC. So I like that side of the ball, and the defense is coming, and I think we're going to be really good as we continue to go week by week. I've never seen our team improve 3 weeks in a row as much as we have over the last decade.
Well, that's a great sign. And when you've been here a while, you have something to gauge it against. Mm-hmm. You rattled off a bunch of different stats. Is your sport one of those where you can really gauge how you're progressing by those different stats? Is that one of the things you really look at?
Yeah, absolutely. And I even look at, like, where were we this year compared to last year in terms of those per set numbers. So I think that's important. And you can predict the winner by looking at some of the stats, but not always, And in 11, when we won the championship, our ranking was 99, and we beat the number 12 team in the country. So, there's also that. But statistics do tend to matter. But it's apples and oranges right now. Everyone's been playing non-conference schedules. So you don't know really how good you are when it stacks up to the MAC. But I do know this: the MAC is better this season than it was last season.
What are your thoughts on a non-conference schedule? Do you go into that thinking you want to play some real top-flight competition, or are you thinking that, hey, I want a variety of teams to try and get my club used to everybody?
The MAC volleyball coaches are very well organized, and it's a team effort. And so they take a very informal poll in December, and we figure out who are our top 4 teams, who's the middle four teams, and who are the bottom. And each group has their own jobs to do in terms of scheduling. And then from the schedule, you do your best to win those games. But we do a really good job. The bottom 8 from last season did a great job of winning. So we have a very much a winning a great win percentage coming out of non-conference, which is going to drive our conference RPI. So we're up a couple notches, and that's going to help us all.
Let's talk about the MAC a little bit. You've got Toledo coming to town tomorrow night, and then you'll see Ball State on Saturday night here, both at 7 o'clock. I know you want to encourage people to come on out because that really helps you, doesn't it?
Volleyball is absolutely a momentum sport, and it can be one of the rowdiest sports in the country. I think soccer can be pretty rowdy, but volleyball around the world is crazy, and people don't sit in their seats. They just go nuts, and they play horns and beat drums and are in costume. And you can't have artificial sound makers in the NCAA ball, but you can certainly make a lot of noise. And we saw some nasty stuff the last weekend against Georgia Southern, which my version of nasty is that's awesome. It's fun to play, but it can be adjustment for freshmen.
Toledo and Ball State, 2 teams, and you correct me if I'm wrong, picked below you preseason in the MAC. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure you look at these as these are 2 that you really like to have, but Toledo always gives you a battle, don't they?
They do. We swept them last season, and we actually swept them 3-0, but we were had to hit 400 to do it. And, every year we have to have a very high clip. And, so I think it's really important that we serve tough tomorrow night. And just the way we match up, it'll be an interesting matchup because I think we have a strength versus a weakness between the 2 teams, both directions. So, and it's that way each year. And Ball State's having a really nice season as well. And so we got our work cut out for us, and we got to start the MAC out right.
All right, before we let you go, a couple words on the 2 young ladies you brought with you here tonight that we're going to hear from in our next segment. Danielle Gotham, and you already talked about Kelly Maxwell a little bit.
Yeah. Danielle Gotham is in her 5th year, redshirt 5th year, and has been playing right side actually for us for the last couple of weeks. So she's mixing it up a little bit as we started to do last weekend in the middle and the right side, and it's really seemed to change things around for us. And she's a really good point scorer for us both on both sides of the ball, blocking and attacking. And Kelly Maxwell's been dishing the ball, and I think she's been playing her best ball all season long of her career. So she came off injury. She was out since June, missed most of the preseason, and then got right into it about a week before we started competing. And she's been phenomenal for us, and she's been number 1 most of the way throughout play in the MAC in assists per set.
Well, best of luck this weekend. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you get that rowdy crowd that you want. Again, Friday and Saturday night, 7 o'clock each night, and we want everybody to come on out. Eric, thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope the fans get out here at 6:30. We have coaches kind of teaching the crowd how to fire up, so volleyball style.
Excellent. A little clinic beforehand, huh?
That's right.
All right, thanks, Eric. Coming back with more on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network after this timeout. Sideliners, I'm Don Shino. Danielle Gotham is here. She's a 6'2 senior out of South Lyon. And Kelly Maxwell, a 5'11 senior out of Okemos. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Good to have you here. Well, what did you think about what Coach had to say about you? Kelly, we'll start with you.
It's a great honor to hear how strongly he feels about how I'm playing and how our offense is working. So it's just good reinforcement that we're all doing the right things, and I think it's going to really show this weekend when we open back play.
Danielle?
Like you said, it's my 5th year. I feel like I've been here a really long time. And how he said, I have been playing middle and right, so it's nice being able to be at both positions and work for the team.
Kelly, is this team, just from looking at your results and how well you guys have done of late, it seems like you're really making a lot of progress, and it comes at a perfect time headed into the MAC season.
Yeah, I think our preseason schedule really has opened us up to come into the MAC season really strong. So I think it's looking good. We're improving on a lot of things, and I think we're going to open up in this MAC season pretty strong.
Danielle, what happened at your last tournament that Coach was talking about? What was that crowd doing that made it so tough on you?
They were saying some very obscene and rude things.
Oh, really?
Kind of attacking us personally. But personally, I kind of like that and feed off it, and gets me fired up and just makes me want to play harder.
Is it fun, though, when I know it's inappropriate, obviously, and we don't encourage that from anybody, but when you're walking to an environment like that you normally don't see?
Yeah, like I said, it kind of pumps me up, and it's like, okay, I'm going to try and do extra sweet and then have our team do well so that we can feed off that.
You guys are kind of the leaders now on this team because you talk about a 5th year and being a senior. Where's this club at right now in your eyes from what you've seen in years past? Coach was comparing the stats. Take a little bit less objective look at it for me and tell me where you think this team is at compared to the same time maybe a couple seasons ago for you.
Yeah, I think not only off the court, where we are so strong and we spend almost every waking hour together, but on the court we're making adjustments a lot quicker. And I think that's a really good thing as we face opponents who are constantly changing. It's really good that we can make in-game adjustments a lot quicker, and I think that's going to help strengthen our team as a whole as we go into this MAC play.
Danielle, how about you?
Yeah, like Kelly said, how we do spend so much time together, it shows on the court. I think just because we have been playing together for so many years that we can almost like mind read them, and we know what each other are going to do, so it works out for the best for us.
Danielle, you're a 5th year senior, so tell me about your plans after Central Michigan. Marketing major with your undergrad?
Yes, and advertising. I'm planning on getting another internship in the spring, and I'm not sure yet if I'm going to go into sports with that or just into more business situations. So depending on the internship is where I'll go from there.
And what was your decision as far as taking that extra year? I mean, was it something that you had to give a lot of thought, or was it a no-brainer to come back?
Well, my 2nd year is when I got injured, and we decided to medical me. So it was kind of a, like,
deal.
I love playing here, yeah. So I had the extra year, so I really wanted to play and stay as long as I could.
Kelly is a language arts major. So
Yeah.
what does one do with a language arts degree post-CMU?
I'm getting my Bachelor of Science in Education.
Okay.
So I plan on being a elementary or middle school teacher.
Oh, good.
But I'll be around Mount Pleasant for a good another year and a half or so because that degree takes a while. So.
Sure. Student teach and all that fun stuff,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the MAC season a little bit. And you've got some pretty tough opponents coming to town here. Toledo and Ball State picked a little bit lower than you in the Mid-American Conference, but we talked to Coach about this. What is it with the Rockets that you guys always seem to get mixed up with them, and it always seems like it's a great match?
The Toledo, and whenever we play them, we always, it's a battle of hitting percentages. We always hit 400, but
60.
somehow so do they. So it's always a battle of going out there and just being aggressive. So that seems to be how we play against them.
Danielle, you feel the same way?
Yeah, they have certain things that they do that we've been working on in practice so that we're able to match that and go above that. So we've really been working hard at that.
And what about goals for the season for both of you? Kelly, you start.
I'd say our team goal is to win a MAC regular conference and win the tournament as well.
Yeah, like we want to inch that regular season, so just how Kelly said that for that.
Well, best of luck this weekend. Get off to a great start in the MAC schedule and enjoy the rest of the season. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's Danielle Gotham and Kelly Maxwell, 2 members of the Central Michigan women's volleyball team. They're going to play this weekend at 7 o'clock Friday night against Toledo and 7 o'clock Saturday night against Ball State. That's going to do it for the CMU Sideliners. I'm Don Shino for the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Have a great night, everybody.